So about 12 years ago, I was living in the back of a van when I started my very first business. And this is not one of those like romantic glamping van situations where you live out of the van because you're a hipster and that's awesome. No, this was, I had made some bad life choices. I had a massive amount of debt. I had nowhere else to live but in that van. And I just got really lucky that I met a man at that point who introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. Truthfully, if I hadn't met him, I'd probably still be working minimum wage at a climbing gym, and I would not be here right now. But thanks to him and the lessons that he taught me, we were able to take that business that we started together from the back of the van with $0 to about $1 million of revenue in under 12 months. So I'm going to give you 6 of the lessons that I took away from that. And these are tactical. You can take these and you can apply them to your business immediately. It doesn't have to be a service-based business. It could be an info product, could be coaching. I've used this in my coaching business, a manufacturing business. I've used this in my private equity fund. These are universal tactics that will serve you regardless of where you are on the journey. So my hope is that you can take these and you can run with them. So the very first thing that I had to change when I was in that van was my mindset. And what I mean by that is, up to that point, I had been a W-2 worker. I had been in the American education system, the world that rewards you for regurgitating the answer for the test, to doing the minimum amount of work so that you can get the passing grade and move on to the next grade, right? I had just been in that ecosystem where you don't go above and beyond. You do not do work unless you know you're going to be compensated for it. So the very first thing that I had to change, and this was a really hard one, was realizing that you are paid in relation to the amount of value you provide to the world. And if you have to sit around waiting to be told what that value is or how to deliver it, then you're just a cog in the machine. You're replaceable. And that means you're always going to have a fixed income. You're going to have a capped upside. And so your ability to deliver value at scale to people that maybe don't even realize at the moment that they need that value, that is going to be the decisive advantage. And so you are rewarded for going above and beyond. But this is the big one, is that what makes the game of business and entrepreneurship so hard is that there is no guarantee. You could grind for 5, 10, 15 years and do the right things and you still don't win. There's uncertainty with business. It's a risky endeavor. And that's why I don't recommend that you just jump in to starting your own business. If you have a good W-2 right now, if you have a family, you have liabilities, you have bills that you have to pay, don't just go starting the business right away. Give yourself a little bit of runway and then go start the thing. But just understand that your mindset of how you see the world, how you think about what's fair, how you think about what it means to deliver value to other people, fundamentally has to change. Now, I did a video I would highly recommend called How to Think Like the 1%. How to Think Like the 1%. I would go watch that video next. It's like a 60-minute masterclass on how to change your mindset and to think like a 1% entrepreneur. So that's number 1. Number 2 is I had a mentor. Now, you might not have a physical mentor. Honestly, I haven't had too many physical mentors in my life. Most of them have been digital mentors. So people that they put out a lot of content online, they have podcasts, maybe they've written books, and I go and I consume everything I can from them. So like Charlie Munger, I would consider a digital mentor. But what you need to do is you need to find somebody to model. You need to find somebody who is where you want to be, who's accomplished what you want to accomplish. You want to work backwards from what they've done to figure out what you could do to replicate those results, because success leaves footprints. So as much as possible, don't bushwhack your way up the mountain. Try and find the path that's already been established by somebody who came before you. So that's number 2. Now let's get really tactical now. Number 3 is you need to recalibrate your expectations. This is huge. One of the reasons I see entrepreneurs fail most often is because they have unrealistic expectations about how long it's going to take or how many reps it's going to take. And the way that we grew this window washing business was by knocking on doors. We're door knockers. And this is a really, really humbling way to try and grow a business. You learn very quickly that it's just a numbers game. At the end of the day, yes, your skill as a door knocker will increase your conversion rate, but really, if you just go knock on 100 doors and make a shitty offer, a certain percentage of those people will likely take you up on it. But that number of the doors that you need to knock on is probably a lot larger than you want it to be. Then you're like, I would like to knock on 10 doors, and for 1 out of every 10, I'd like somebody to say yes. It's like, no, you probably need to knock on 100 before you get that first yes. And you're gonna knock on another 100 before you get the second yes. Now, that might seem really demoralizing because you're gonna have a lot of rejection along the way, right? Like you need to get really thick skin and you need to build up this tolerance for rejection because you're gonna get a whole lot of it. But once you know and you have your expectations calibrated correctly, well, what's really interesting is then you can just run the money math. Like once you know that you need to knock on 100 doors to get 1 sale, then it just becomes a matter of like, okay, well, how do I go knock on more doors? How do I get in front of more people? Now, you might not be door knocking. You might be, creating content for social media. You might be running paid ads, like whatever the thing is for you. Just understand that like the more people that are aware of what you do, the more people that you make the offer to, the more you're going to make in your business. But it's probably a lot more than you realize. Like the amount that you're going to have to reach out before people start to say yes is quite a lot. And this is funny because, you could do cold emails. I got a guy the other day who does cold emails, and he's like, well, I sent out like 100 cold emails and I got like 2 negative responses and no positive responses. And it's like, that's not enough. Like you need to send out orders of magnitude more. That's just not going to be sufficient to calibrate. So what you need to do is, especially when it comes to leads, is you need to recalibrate your expectations, but pretty much everywhere in the business. Like the Buddhists say that discontent resides in the delta between man's expectations and his reality. So all of your frustration and disappointment in life is because you have an expectation of the world that doesn't align with reality. There's a gap between what you want and what is. And it's in that gap that you have all this frustration and disappointment and maybe even a little bit of burnout. But if you can calibrate that expectation appropriately and say, oh, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot more reps. And I'm willing to do those reps because I know what's required to get to where I want to go. Then you're not going to burn out. You're not going to suffer from those negative feelings. So that's number 3. Number 4, you need to maximize lifetime value. Lifetime value. Now, this is an interesting one. There's many ways to do this, and your mind initially probably goes to the most common, which is people think about upsells or, cross sells or downsells, right? You're like, how do I get people to buy more of the things that you can increase your average order value? That's great. So if you can get somebody who comes in and they bought a $50 thing and then you can upsell them to the $5,000 thing, well, now the lifetime value of that person is $5,050. Much better than if it was just 50, right? That's one way to increase the lifetime value. But what I want to suggest here are some counterintuitive ways that you can increase lifetime value, because it's not all about the dollars in the bank. At the end of the day, some of the most important metrics can't actually be measured on a spreadsheet. Like we talk about return on life, return on impact, return on joy, return on headache, right? All these metrics that you can't quantify on a spreadsheet, they're just as important as return on investment. So what I want to suggest here are three ways that you can increase the lifetime value of a customer without actually getting them to give you more money. So first, this first one, actually, they will give you more money, but just not right there in that moment. This is BAM FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. Now, this is a phrase that we use in the sales community, book a meeting from a meeting. And the way it works is if you get somebody on a sales call and you get to the end of it and they have all these objections and you just can't close them right there, before you let them go, you book a meeting from that meeting and say, okay, how long is it going to take you to review this information? Are you free on Tuesday, same time? We'll hop back on and answer any more questions that you have. Does that sound fair, right? So you book a meeting from a meeting, you never let them out of there. Now, the way this worked for us with window washing is we knew that people typically only get their windows washed once every 12 months. However, if we plant the seed in their minds, the reason for that is that they don't know what's normal. They don't know what's average. They're not industry experts. They're only thinking about their dirty windows when they're dirty, and then they're usually reacting to it. So what we can do is we can say, hey, most of our clients, they like to get their windows washed every 6 months because they find that's about the time when hard water stains start to build up and storms come in and their view starts to get a little bit grungy. So if we come in every 6 months, it starts to look good. So let's go ahead and get you on. It looks like that would be around January 15th. Does that sound like it would work for you? January 15th, same time? Yep, cool. And we'll send out more information and follow up with you as it gets closer to that day. If you need to reschedule or anything like that, just let us know. But otherwise, we'll just plan to be out here on January 15th. Boom. Now we took that one person who just wanted their windows washed this one time because they were reactive to maybe a door knock, maybe they saw a bandit sign, maybe they saw a Google ad, like maybe they just saw the window was dirty and they went to Google and searched who washes windows in my area, right? So now we took that one reactive purchase and we turned it into a continuity play. So now we're gonna come back in 6 months. And once we do that, now we have a customer who's sticky and they're likely to come back every 6 months like clockwork. So that's one way to increase the lifetime value. Another way is to get them to leave a review, right? Like if you're a service-based, pretty much any kind of business, honestly, reviews are gold because social proof is everything at the end of the day. If you have delivered amazing product to somebody, they should want to spread the good word. Most people want to be pretty helpful. Now, the tricky bit here is like, how do you actually get people to go and leave a review? Because they might have good intentions, but I don't know about you, like leaving a review is a bit of a headache. So what you can do is you can incentivize them. And one of the best ways you can do it is to appeal to their sense of charity. So the way this can work is, let's say after your crew washes the windows, you reach out to the homeowner and you're like, hey, Louis says you were great to work with, says you were wonderful. He really enjoyed getting to work on your house. If everything was amazing, would you do us a favor and just go to Google and leave a review and then send me that link? And if you do, I'm gonna tip Louis $10 on your behalf. So it's a way for you to tip him without having to do any work. And now if Louis actually did a good job, the homeowner's like, well, I want Louis to get $10. That sounds pretty good. Like, it's not coming out of my pocket. All I gotta do is leave a review. Most of them will follow through with that. And that's how you start collecting thousands of 5-star reviews. And that's gonna be very, very powerful at the end of the day for the next customers that are coming in. Makes it easier to sell them, decreases your cost of customer acquisition. Now fourth. The next way that you can increase the lifetime value is referrals, right? If a review is great because it decreases the lifetime value or it decreases the cost of acquisition for the next customer. Well, a referral is them just giving you the name of somebody in their neighborhood, somebody else that you could go service right then and there. This right here is worth its weight in gold. If you can figure out a fantastic referral program, you can take one new client and turn them into 3. Just think about that. If you're running Google ads or Facebook ads, let's say, and it's like $50 to get this one person, but they give you a referral to 2 more people in their neighborhood, you can then close those people. Well, this customer acquisition cost just decreased by 1/3. That's pretty damn good. So think outside the box when it comes to maximizing lifetime value. Number 5, here's the 5th lesson, is that you got to follow up relentlessly. Follow up relentlessly. Never assume the answer is no. Never assume. Because at the end of the day, like a lot of us we don't want to create friction. We don't want to create an uncomfortable environment. We don't want to be pushy or salesy or anything like that. And so like just the idea of knocking on somebody's door and them not answering or coming back or calling them and like not getting a response, our inclination is to think, oh, they are ignoring us because they don't want to deal with us. And it might be true, but it might not be true. Like case in point, in our private equity fund, this would have been about 3 years ago, we had a deal that we were raising capital for. The average investment size was about $75,000. I had an investor who soft committed and said, put me down for $250,000. Then over the next 7 weeks, he completely ghosted me. Wouldn't respond to any of the emails. I sent out 7 emails. I called him multiple times, texted him multiple times, just ghosted. Now, it'd be very easy in that situation to assume, oh, he decided he didn't want to do this. He wants me to bugger off and leave him alone, right? But I know that unless you keep knocking, every door is as good as locked. So he told me he wanted this. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that he gets this opportunity until he tells me no. I'm never going to assume the answer is no. So I sent him out an 8th email. And just like that, he responded like within an hour. And then within like 3 hours, he had signed the paperwork and wired over his funds. Just like that, just from the follow-up. It wasn't that he was ignoring, it just kept getting lost in spam. He was busy, he kept seeing it and saying, oh, I'll get to that next week. And busy people are busy. And so you never assume that the answer is no. Just keep following them up and hit them in all the different places that you can find them. Hit them everywhere. Like you could text them, you could call them, you could go to their office, you could knock on their door, you could send them an email, right? Like there's all sorts of, you could send them a physical mail. You could send them a physical letter, right? Like there's so many different ways that you can follow up and get in front of the person until they finally tell you no. And then if they do, then just walk away and say, cool, yeah, no harm, no foul. So those are, let's do one more. 6, let's do one more. This is a bonus round for you. If you want to succeed in any business endeavor, like I'm a firm believer that you don't need to go into the blue ocean, like the blue ocean strategy or Peter Thiel's 0 to 1. You don't need to, unless you want to build $1 billion business, you don't need to have this remarkable idea that nobody else has had before and be disruptive to an industry. I like to go to the red ocean, find where there's already competition because I know there's already money there, and go just compete better. But if you're going to go compete in a red ocean, you need to have a unique edge. A unique edge. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. You're a commodity and you're going to get, churned up and the sharks are going to eat you. So you have to ask yourself, what is your unique edge? When it came to the window washing for us, we had 2 unique edges. First is that we had a better recruitment process for blue collar workers. Because actually, one of the hardest things about scaling a service business like window washing, it's not actually getting customers, it's scaling the size of the team. Because it's really hard to find people that want to wash windows. Like that's not a career path that for most people that they want to dedicate their lives to. So you have a lot of churn. It's really hard to find reliable people that show up on time. But it happened to be that we had a unique edge because our network of friends were rock climbers. And rock climbers are an interesting bunch because they're very comfortable on ropes in high places, which is great for window washing. And then 2, they're seasonal. Climbers like to have a period of the year off so that they can go on climbing trips. That season typically corresponds with the winter months when the rock is nice and cold and the friction is best. When do you think we're not washing windows? When it's cold. So it happened to work out really well that our climber buddies can go on their trip while the business isn't really doing anything during the slow months anyway. Then they come back, they make a ton of cash, we pay them under the table. I did say that, we didn't do that. If you're from the IRS, we did not do that. But you have a unique advantage. You want to be thinking like, in what ways can I compete uniquely in this space? Another one that we had was best marketing. We had the best marketing in town. And this is simple. This is simply for the fact that we cared. We cared about it more because most people in the service industries, like they're not putting a lot of time and energy into their marketing. They're treating it as an afterthought. They are first and foremost window washers. And what I thought of myself is first and foremost a marketer of window washing. And then the window washing itself was secondary. And so we had a unique advantage in our ability to get leads. We actually had more leads than we could even service. So again, like the recruitment of blue collar workers becomes the constraint, even if that is your unique edge. But you want to be asking yourself, like, in what ways can I uniquely win in this market? If you don't have a unique way of winning, well, you're just going to blend in. It's going to be very difficult to be victorious at the end of the day. So that is, in a nutshell, how we, these are some of the ways. This isn't a complete system by any means. Now, if you want like the complete roadmap that we've used to build multiple 7, 8, and 1 9-figure business, then go down to the description. There's a link down there called Beyond the Apex. Just go to Beyond the Apex. We have a group coaching program where we work with entrepreneurs to help them scale, to get to that $1 million a year run rate, and even further in some cases. So if that's something that you want some help with, go apply. Otherwise, hit subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to go check out that video I mentioned at the beginning, how to think like the 1%. Should probably pop up here at some point. Otherwise, see you in the next video.